The Sean Bell shooting incident took place in the New York City borough of Queens, New York, United States, on November 25, 2006, when 3 men were shot a total of 50 times by a team of both plainclothes and undercover NYPD officers, killing Sean Bell on the morning before his wedding, and severely wounding 2 of his friends, Trent Benefield and Joseph Guzman. The incident sparked fierce criticism of the police from members of the public and drew comparisons to the 1999 killing of Amadou Diallo. 3 of the 5 detectives involved in the shooting went to trial on charges of first and second-degree manslaughter, first and second-degree assault, and second-degree reckless endangerment, and were found not guilty. Background: Sean Bell was a nephew of the current University of Tulsa basketball coach, Frank Hythe. He pitched baseball for John Adams High School in Ozone Park, and in his senior year he had an 11-0 record, with a 2.30 ERA and 97 strikeouts in 62.2 innings. He also studied acting in Flushing, Queens. Bell held odd jobs after the birth of his daughter, Jada, on December 16, 2002. His fiancée, Nicole Poulter, told Larry King that Bell was studying to be an electrician and was unemployed when the shooting occurred. Shooting incident: the night of his death, Bell was holding his bachelor party at Club Calwa, a strip club that was being investigated by undercover police over accusations that the owners fostered prostitution. The New York Post reported that Joseph Guzman had an argument with a man outside the bar, and threatened to get a gun. One of Bell's friends reportedly said, "Yo, get my gun," as they left the club. Thinking a shooting was about to take place, an African-American plainclothes officer named Jescard Isnera followed Bell and his companions. He alerted his backup team, who confronted Bell and his companions outside. According to Isnera, he held out his badge, identified himself as a police officer, and ordered the driver to stop. Instead, Bell accelerated the car, striking Isnera, and then collided with an unmarked police minivan. Isnera said he thought he saw Guzman reach for a gun. He yelled a warning to the other policemen and they opened fire on the car. 5 policemen joined in, firing about 50 bullets into Bell's car in only seconds. Accounts of the event conflict with that provided by the police. According to Joseph Guzman, the plainclothes detectives never identified themselves when they approached with drawn weapons. New York Daily News reported that the officers failed to warn Bell before opening fire, beginning to shoot as soon as they left their cars. A toxicology report showed that Bell was legally intoxicated at the time he was shot. An attorney for Bell's family replied, "No matter what his blood alcohol level was, he's a victim." Isnera, the policeman who initiated the shooting, claimed later that he saw a 4th man in the car, who fled the scene, possibly with the alleged weapon. One of Bell's friends, Gene Nelson, was speculated to have been the 4th man. Nelson admitted he was present, but denied being in the car or having a weapon. Critics suggest that Isnera invented the 4th man to justify the shooting and avoid conviction by a public jury. New York Daily News columnist Juan Gonzalez reported that in the hours immediately after the shooting, there was no mention of a 4th man in police calls and no search was launched for an allegedly armed man. This contradicts claims that the police searched the neighborhood for the missing man. According to the New York Times, a preliminary police report said, "There was no meaningful discussion of a 4th man, a mysterious figure who some in the police department have suggested may have been present along with the 3 men who were shot. None of the witnesses whose accounts are in the report speaks of someone who may have fled perhaps possessing a gun and there are no indications that the police at the time was seeking anyone who may have left the scene." According to Michael Palladino, head of the Police Detectives Union, a man working as a janitor in a nearby building told the detectives that he had seen a black man fleeing the scene, and that the man had fired at least once at the police. The janitor claimed he had then heard a detective shouting, "Police, police." However, ballistic evidence showed no evidence of any weapon having been fired except those of the officers. In an interview on Larry King Live, Al Sharpton, accompanied by Poulter, stated that according to his conversations with eyewitnesses, none of the 3 men mentioned a gun while leaving the club. Sharpton also said that it would have been impossible for anyone in the car to have heard the police, and said they were likely to fear they were being carjacked. However, several of the witnesses were paid by Sharpton. The NYPD Detectives Union and others complained that the payments brought into question the witnesses' credibility. Sharpton replied, "How can the Detectives Endowment Association support the detectives and I can't support the victims?" 5 of the 7 officers took part in the shooting. Detective Paul Headley fired 1 shot, Officer Michael Carey fired 3 times, Officer Mark Cooper 4, Officer Jessgard Isner 11, and veteran Officer Michael Oliver emptied 2 full magazines, firing 31 times with a 9mm handgun, pausing to reload at least once. An autopsy showed that Bell was struck 4 times in the neck and torso. Guzman was shot 19 times. Benefield, who was in the back seat, was hit 3 times. Both men were taken to Mary Immaculate Hospital. Guzman was listed in critical condition and Benefield was in stable condition. Both survived the shooting. Benefield was released from the hospital on December 5, 2006, while Guzman was released on January 25, 2007. Surveillance cameras at the Port Authority's Jamaica Air train station a half-block away from the shooting site recorded one of the bullets shattering the station's glass window, narrowly missing a bystander and 2 Port Authority patrolmen standing on the elevated platform. Response to the shooting, New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg has said "It sounds to me like excessive force was used," and has called the shooting inexplicable and unacceptable. Ex-New York Governor George E. Pataki has also stated that the shooting was excessive. Kelly has put the 5 officers involved on paid administrative leave and stripped them of their weapons, a move the New York Times called forceful. He told the Times that the officers were stripped of their guns because there were, and are too many unanswered questions. Both Bloomberg and Kelly have also noted that the shooting was possibly in violation of department guidelines prohibiting shooting at a moving vehicle, even if the vehicle is being used as a weapon. The public advocate extended condolences to Bell's former fiancé copywritee and family following the killing. Thousands of people took to the streets to protest against the amount of force used the weekend following Bell's death, with protests continuing into the following week. Some have noted the similarity between the incident and past shootings of unarmed people, such as Amadou Diallo and Usman Zongo. The family has designated L. Sharpton as their advisor. On December 7, 2006, Nicole Poulter legally changed her name to Nicole Poulter Bell to honor the memory of Sean Bell. New York state laws require a couple to obtain a marriage license prior to a wedding, and although the marriage license is issued immediately, the marriage ceremony may not take place within 24 hours from the exact time that the license was issued. According to Nicole Poulter's attorney, a posthumous wedding was impossible since no marriage license had yet been signed. On March 5, 2007, it was announced that a Rikers Island inmate offered to pay an undercover police officer posing as a hitman to behead New York City Police Commissioner Raymond Kelly and bomb police headquarters in retaliation for the incident. On March 25, 2007, New York Daily News reported that an unnamed Queens drug dealer, after being arrested, alleged that Sean Bell had shot him the previous year on July 13, 2006, over a drug turf dispute. Police sources called the drug dealer's account credible, but could not rule out the possibility of the drug dealer falsely identifying Sean Bell to garner favor with authorities. The attorney representing the Bell family, Nicole Poulter, and the 2 other occupants of the vehicle who were wounded during the shooting, denounced this development, saying, "We expected them to throw dirt at us and they are throwing dirt at us." NYPD Internal Affairs Bureau detectives say the dealer's tale has no direct bearing on the police shooting of Bell, though some legal experts said that it could help the defense by portraying Sean Bell as possibly armed and dangerous. Investigation and case equals criminal indictment equals. At that time, some activists called for a special prosecutor in the case, but New York's then-Governor Eliot Spitzer said he did not see the need for it, although then Attorney General Andrew Cuomo promised to keep a watch on the criminal proceedings. The Queens District Attorney's Office interviewed over 100 witnesses and presented more than 500 exhibits to a grand jury. An issue considered by the grand jury was the New York State Penal Code's description of circumstances under which a police officer can use deadly force. The use of deadly physical force is necessary to defend the police officer or peace officer or another person from what the officer reasonably believes to be the use or imminent use of deadly physical force. On March 16, 2007, 3 of the 5 police officers involved in the shooting were indicted by a grand jury. Officer Jesgard Isnera, who fired the first shot, and Officer Michael Oliver, who fired 31 of the 50 shots, were charged with first- and second-degree manslaughter, second-degree reckless endangerment and first- and second-degree assault, while Detective Mark Cooper was charged with 2 counts of reckless endangerment. All 3 detectives pleaded not guilty at the arraignment hearing on March 19, 2007. Detectives Isnera and Oliver were released on bail and Detective Cooper on his own recognizance. Oliver and Isnera initially faced up to 25 years of prison for the charges. The Appellate Division of the Supreme Court, Second Department, denied a motion by the detectives' attorneys to move the trial to a venue outside of Queens. Following the adverse ruling, the detectives waived a jury trial and instead submitted to a bench trial. The district attorney Richard Brown has faced some criticism from activists who believe he did not question the police officers involved quickly enough. Trial and acquittal on all charges. On April 25, 2008, all 3 of the police officers indicted were acquitted on all counts. The defendants opted to have Justice Arthur J. Cooperman make a ruling rather than a jury. The ruling was handed down in a state Supreme Court in Queens. A key defense forensic witness was Alexandra Jason, a crime scene analyst and ballistics expert who disproved several of the prosecution's main points relating to the physical evidence. Among them was the timing of the incident. After doing tests with an NYPD pistol, Jason demonstrated that the 31 shots fired by one detective could have been done in about 12 seconds not several minutes. Using high-speed video during ballistic testing, Jason demonstrated that bullets fired through a car window would project glass both inside and outside the car and that this could be interpreted as shots coming from inside. Another of Jason's key points was that the person in the back seat of Bell's car was not shot while he was running away as he claimed, but while inside the car. Jason used computer-generated 3D models to display some of his findings. In his ruling, Justice Cooperman stated that testimony by Guzman and Benefield did not make sense. He also cited the fact that they had a pending $50 million lawsuit against the city. After the ruling was made, the family, led by Sharpton and several others, went to Bell's graveside in Port Washington, Long Island for a memorial service. Although the officers were acquitted, the 3 of them and their commanding officer were fired or forced to resign on March 24, 2012. After acquittal. Slowdown protest. On May 7, 2008, Sharpton led a series of protests in New York City. Hundreds took to the streets in Manhattan and Brooklyn as part of the citywide slowdown effort led by Sharpton and his National Action Network. The crowd made its way to the streets, stopping the flow of traffic in many vital areas of the city. This led to police action, and the arrest of over 200 people, including Sharpton himself. Sharpton was arrested without incident at the base of the Brooklyn Bridge. Bell's parents, his former fiancée copyrightee, Nicole Poulter Bell, and the 2 shooting victims who survived, Trent Benefield and Joseph Guzman, were also arrested. Civil case. On May 18, 2010, U.S. District Judge Sterling Johnson, Jr. of the United States District Court for the Eastern District of New York lifted a stay on the civil lawsuit brought by Nicole Poulter Bell against the City of New York. On July 27, 2010, a settlement was reached. New York City agreed to pay Sean Bell's family $3.25 million. Joseph Guzman, 34, who uses a cane and a leg brace and has 4 bullets lodged in his body, and Trent Benefield, 26, 2 passengers in Bell's car who attended his bachelor party and were wounded in the shooting, were to receive $3 million and $900,000 respectively in the settlement, for a total of $7.15 million. Poulter Bell said, "I believe the settlement is fair, but the most important thing is that our fight, my fight, doesn't end here. no amount of money can provide closure. New York City Corporation Counsel stated the city regrets the loss of life in this tragic case and we share our deepest condolences with the Bell family. The head of the New York City Detectives Endowment Association said he thought the settlement was a joke. The detectives were exonerated and now the taxpayer is on the hook for $7 million and the attorneys are in line to get $2 million without suffering a scratch. Guzman said the settlement did not change the underlying reality that the lives of Black and Hispanic men were not worth much in New York. He said that the incident was bound to be repeated. NYPD edits to Wikipedia article on March 13, 2015, Capital New York and other news organizations reported that 50 of the 15,000 IP addresses belonging to the NYPD were associated with edits, dating back to 2006, to English Wikipedia articles, including the article on the Sean Bell shooting incident. These IP addresses geolocate to NYPD headquarters at One Police Plaza. Detective Cheryl Crispin, a NYPD spokeswoman, said that the matter is under internal review. Tributes: the Nicole Poulter Bell, When It's Real, It's Forever nonprofit organization was started in memory of Sean Bell. Rappers David Banner, Nicki Minaj, Prodigy, Immortal Technique and the Jamaica, Queens-based rap group G-Unit, The Game and Chameleon Air have each referenced the Sean Bell case in one of their songs. G-Unit dedicated the opening track to their TOS, Terminate On-Site album to Sean Bell and also paid tribute to him in the thank you section of the liner notes. Nicki Minaj dedicated part of her verse New York Minute to Sean Bell. There's gotta be a heaven cause Sean Bell will never get to make it to his wedding. Chameleon Air referenced the case on the mixtape Messiah 2 disc at the end of the song Ridin' Overseas, where he says, "Rest in peace to Sean Bell, Military Man." The Game dedicated the controversial song 911 Is a Joke to Sean Bell. The Game dedicated the song My Life to Sean Bell as well. Swizz Beatz, Cassidy, Mano, Styles P, Talib Kweli, Red Cafe and Drag-On recorded a song entitled Stand Up in which they share their thoughts on the Sean Bell shooting. Rapper Jay-Z set up a trust fund for the children of Sean Bell. Sean Bell Way The New York City Council voted to designate Liverpool Street from 94th to 101st Avenues in Queens as Sean Bell Way in his memory. The naming ceremony took place on May 18, 2010. 40.6983 a degree N 73.8085 a degree W/40.6983. Minus 73.8085 I. See also: Contagious shooting, Jean Charles de Menezes, Johnny Gamage, Usman Zongo, Amadou Diallo, Nightlife legislation of the United States, list of killings by law enforcement officers in the United States. References